What's going on? Jake here with Uncommon EDC. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Leatherman Free T2. And the Free series is an interesting one from Leatherman for me because I think when most people think of Leatherman, myself included, we typically think of plier-based multi-tools, and the Free series is more akin to a Swiss Army knife. Now, not exactly a direct competitor to Victorinox either, because I think each of the Free models is going to be a little bit more bulky and cumbersome than similarly tooled models from Victorinox. The trade-off being that with the Free series, you do get locking tools, a locking blade, and one-hand deployment. And so a little bit of a trade-off, and it sits in a sort of weird in-between zone of your traditional Swiss Army knife, full-size plier-based multi-tools. And so I do think it's a really nice option if you don't want to carry that plier-based multi-tool, either because you don't necessarily need the pliers or you want to cut back on some weight. This offers a really nice tool set. It only has 3 additional tools in addition to that blade, but each one of them has multiple functionalities. And I think they're probably the most used tools outside of your pliers or your blade on any plier-based multi-tool. And so it does have a very nice lineup of tools. Before we get into that though, we'll start in this closed position, 3.8 inches long, which is going to be pretty similar to a lot of your pocket knives. And so at 3.8 inches, like I said, pretty similar to most of your pocket knives. It carries a little bit differently though because you don't have a pocket clip. Now I'm not sure if anyone makes an aftermarket pocket clip that you can add to it, but I do think that would be a nice option since otherwise it carries so similarly to a knife. Now where it differs a little bit is going to be in the thickness of it. It's pretty thick at 0.62 inches thick. Obviously there's 4 layers here, so they had to add a little bit of width to that, and each of the tools is going to be a little bit thicker than your typical Swiss Army knife tools. In terms of the width here, this is pretty similar to most pocket knives. Up here near the pivot and that locking mechanism, you're looking at about 0.96 inches wide. And aesthetically, I think looks pretty good. It has a very utilitarian look to it, but looks nice overall and pretty easy to access that blade. You can see it has that nice thumb hole. Now, even though it has that thumb hole, you're not going to be flicking this open. It's got a pretty stiff action, and so it's mostly going to be slow rolling. And I typically do that two-handed still. Technically, I can do it one-handed, but it feels a little bit clumsy to open it one-handed still. Now, in terms of the ergos on here, that 3.8 inch handle does offer a full 4-finger grip, very comfortable. With the lack of the pocket clip means that it's not creating any sort of hot spot. The back spacer here has these jimping marks carved into it that do offer a ton of grip. It's really secure. You're not going to be sliding forward or backward on that grip, and it feels pretty good. It's nice and thick, so fills up the hand very nicely, leading to some really nice ergos. It's also got a nice heft to it at 3.3 ounces. Not too heavy for what it is, but does offer some nice heft. In terms of the blade, we have a 2.2 inch draw point style blade, bringing our overall length to 5.8 inches. Now that steel on there is a 420 HC, and I was really surprised that it has this super nice hollow grind on it, and it's ultra slicey out of the box. So that was a really pleasant surprise. Nice usable blade on there, and again it locks up with this really easy to use intuitive locking mechanism. Now the first time I grabbed onto it, I wanted to push that lock down, but once you adapt to it, it's really easy to actuate. You just push it upwards and it unlocks the blade. Now the same lock actually locks up the tools as well, which is nice. You don't have to worry about managing multiple locks, one on each side of the handle or anything like that. They all use the same exact locking mechanism. Now in order to access the tools, it has what looks sort of like an Emerson wave feature, although it doesn't function like a wave feature where it automatically opens when you pull it out of your pocket. But you can just push down on these little notches over here and it kicks those tools out, fan them out to select what you want, pull the one that you want, close the rest. Now, no stop at 90 degrees on any of these tools, so they're all going to be used in line, and once you do use them in line, it does lock those out, and you can use the same locking mechanism again to unlock the tool and close those up. So up first we have the awl, and this one has the extra small flathead screwdriver, so really nice to have that kind of mini screwdriver, and it's sharp enough with a sort of chisel grind to puncture most kind of like leather and things like that. To use it as an awl, we do have a slight sort of chisel grind on that as well, and that we can close up and then get into our next tool here, which is our 2D Phillips. And this is really nice. If you've never used their 2D Phillips, they do work very well, even on kind of mid-size Phillips screwdrivers. If they're pretty small, that's where it struggles a little bit, but kind of mid-size Phillips and larger, it does work really effectively with that 2D Phillips. And then we also have, of course, a bottle opener, because no multi-tool is complete without that bottle opener. Now, sometimes that bothers me, the bottle opener, if it's on the external portion of the tool, but if it's kind of incorporated into something like this, that's not something that bothers me. It just adds a little bit of extra functionality, so why would it? Last but not least, we have the mid-sized screwdriver, and this one's interesting. They also say you can use it as a pry tool, which is definitely better to use this than your blade, but it also has this sort of sharpened edge. It's not exactly a chisel ground, it kind of rounds off, but for opening packages, so you can open packages without worrying about getting the tip too deep in there and damaging the contents. And so kind of a nice option to add on there as well. I believe they advertise it as 8 tools in total. We also have the lanyard hole on the back, a little bit thin, and it does go all the way through here, so you have to thread that all the way through, but nice if you want to add a lanyard. I'm actually kind of curious if you can put this on a key shackle. You know, those ones that just kind of have a hinge that screws straight through here and it has that shackle, because then that would allow you to attach it to like a carabiner or something and clip this to your belt loop. So I may look into that, see if I can find one that fits through here. I think that would make a really nice alternative to a traditional pocket clip without adding the extra kind of space in the ergos and maybe creating a potential hot spot. But pretty cool tool overall. I think it's a really nice alternative if you're looking for something smaller than your plier-based multi-tools. I definitely want to check out some of the other tools in the free series. If you have any other suggestions, leave them down in the comments below. Definitely looking to check out some of the other ones, but would also love to hear your thought on the T2. That's it for this one. If you enjoyed the video, consider liking, commenting, subscribing, joining the channel as a member, or checking out some of my other videos. All helps the channel out a ton. And as always, I hope you have a great one. Take care.